Hello, everyone. It's March 13th. I thought we would do a presentation on Elon Musk rather than a big quarter one outlook or what's been happening in the markets, so much more than just about the person himself. Who is he? How come this headline is such a big part for us? So, kind of, what will Elon do? The big thing I want you to focus on during this talk is the emotional risk that you possess. Everything else, as far as a risk is concerned, is external, right? Market risk, inflation risk, geopolitical risk. But emotional risk is something that you own inside. How much are you willing to give over to any event or any person, in this case, Elon Musk? So we appreciate you being here. I'm trying to balance that. Things like hype cycles. These hype cycles exist. That just it's how we get driven up by influence and kind of a letdown, and then kind of this reality that we get to Musk and his volatility that he himself creates. He's such an impactful person. And then Doge, what does that look like over the next 4 years? What do we think it may do for us or against us? But who is this man? Right? Elon Musk is a brilliant madman. He has created companies. He's destroyed companies. At the peak, his net worth was just under $500 billion. I mean, he's projected to be the first trillionaire, right? This is a big influence that somebody can have, but he is not the only person in history to be in a position like this. The first connectivity I could make is to JD Rockefeller, right? He was the first billionaire. If you were to extrapolate his money out over time, JD started the Standard Oil Company, and he was loved and hated. I mean, he was ruthless as can be and a philanthropist on the other side. He was quite involved in government, but is also sometimes named a robber baron. So Elon Musk may just be that next person. He may be in history as the first trillionaire, like JD Rockefeller was the first billionaire. Why does that matter? We want to make sure to understand how that affects you again. One, not just emotionally, how does it affect your investment portfolio? We are taking these things very serious. We watch them constantly. We're trying to raise cash if we need to, but we also don't want to break away from our discipline and fundamentals of staying in the markets. I mean, these things will continue. So if we take a look at hype cycles really come out of technology and the implementation of technology. Take artificial intelligence or chat GPT. There's this introduction of it. There's this heightened expectation on what it's going to do. Either it's going to make us more productive or the robots are going to take over the planet. And then usually there's this disillusionment. As you see, there's this sharp fallout on what it can and does and maybe can produce for us. As we learn, we start to understand that, okay, now we can be productive if we actually learned about this thing. Again, take Bitcoin, take ChatGPT, take the PlayStation video gaming system, anything. There's this cycle that we typically go through. Wanted to relate that to Elon Musk, Doge, President Trump coming in. Anything that's influential for us seems to have this kind of cycle that we go through. It's an interesting overlay. If you look at a cycle also called the Dunning-Kruger effect, that is really the relationship between competency and confidence. I just thought that was really interesting. And what the Kruger effect says is that the people that are less competent have a higher level of confidence, and then it falls off, and then they get to this place of kind of education and what they call sustainability. But I would think more of just a normal interaction of intelligence. I thought that was interesting how hype and competency are like-minded here. If you don't know what the Dunning-Kruger cycle is, I think you should Google it. It's quite interesting. That being said, Elon is quite intelligent. He really is. I mean, he's shown it time and time again, the impact that he can have. He can move a market with a tweet, right? He can say something and destroy somebody's social profile or drive Tesla up way over its value based upon that. So he's bold and willing to take an approach and take a risk. That's how you get a rocket ship that lands again on a pad like SpaceX. I mean, these things are extravagant. It takes kind of a bold, wild, madman personality to innovate, or a mad person to innovate. You know, it takes somebody stepping out and driving forward, not staying by the rules. And Elon kind of does that. He is a catalyst for cryptocurrency. The community embraced him and Trump. I'm a big pusher of cryptocurrency, not meme coins or anything, but certainly blockchain cryptocurrency as it'll affect the planet. So I do like that. I like to think that's a good investment. And the Doge effect, I think the biggest part is that this was a broadsword and not a scalpel. When they came in, it started hacking out thousands of jobs and departments were getting cut. And we all wanted a scalpel to come in and start to find the inefficiencies and get rid of them. I think we have to understand, though, that a scalpel wasn't going to work because they've tried scalpels, right? They've tried to come in and those get gummed up politically, or people will come in and find a reason to keep the inefficiencies available. Do I agree with the broadsword? No. But that thing came swiping down, and that drastic change, it's going to create both a backlash of negative, but I'm hoping and assuming that there will be a positive to that as well. We're waiting for that. We won't see it soon. It'll take a long time before we see these adjustments and positives come out. Again, just an influence, wanted to show a good picture of what he's created. I mean, this is, man, if you look at X in the bottom right corner, he didn't like Twitter and what it was saying and how he thought it was progressing, so he buys it. Now, he leveraged a lot of outside monies to get it, but the man has the capability to come in and buy this thing. Tesla overinflated, but it hit the Americas by storm with Teslas. Everybody wanted to be a part of it, and it was really this big movement and this push. It was artificially driven up as a share price, making him the half-trillionaire that he was. But look at the other side of that. When you demonize somebody of this magnitude, it can send the share price, falling down and crashing down. And that's happening, right? And you can see in the middle, it drops if investors lose confidence. I think the big thought is, what happens if the American citizen loses confidence in the federal government, like investors lost confidence in Tesla? And that's where that emotional thing that we're putting on the line, are we willing to roll the dice with our emotions that the federal government will turn into Tesla? And I caution people that don't doing that, right? But again, this is a huge holdings of what Elon Musk has done in his past. He probably won't stop there. There'll be other companies added. In fact, there's a ton more added here. If you look, this is just another group of his conglomerate companies, his volatility, what he's able to move with just his efforts, with his social prowess, with his money. There is this Musk-driven volatility. But again, and you'll see in a slide coming up here, this is not the first, nor will he be the last. There are very powerful people that have been doing this for a very, very long time. We just need to be quite aware of it as investors. There. Who are these other Musk-like personalities? There's hundreds and hundreds of Musk-like personalities. I just picked three. Howard Hughes obviously was a very influential person in media and economics and business, but also politically. The Koch brothers, if you don't know them very well, you should really do a little background research on these. These are two very, very powerful libertarians, want less government involvement. And when they didn't get their way, they decided to work in an interesting way by getting through the education system and the political system through super PACs. It was a big maneuver, and that is what a powerful group can do. Warren Buffett, my honor to Warren and what he's done here. I don't know if bringing Warren into this either brings Elon Musk up in honor or brings Warren down. I hope not for Warren, but he is a powerful person. I mean, I remember when he made the investment into IBM, rather than just saying he was making an investment into IBM, he had this cryptic kind of game that he was telling on live television. And when they figured out it was IBM, of course, the stock goes up a significant amount. But that's the kind of power that somebody can have over us. Either we were racing to figure out Warren's cryptic message, or we kind of laughed at the coyness of it. So how much was I willing to risk for that? I appreciated Warren for that, whereas maybe the Koch brothers and what they were trying to do after reading the book Dark Money, I maybe invested too much, a little bit of my emotional risk to them. So choose as you will. This is the U.S. national debt clock, and I'm going to show you actually the live one right here. This is usdebtclock.org. It shows the national debt. There is this yellow part added right here, which is the Doge clock, and a savings per taxpayer, which is quite interesting. What's even more interesting here is if you look at each of these, you put your mouse on any of these places, it'll show you what they are, but it also has a source to it in the bottom right. The U.S. Census, in this case for local debt or state debt, is a U.S. Census. U.S. federal tax revenue is the Congressional Budget Office. The Doge clock has no source. I always thought that was quite interesting. I think it would be nice to have some transparency on what this is and how this is actually operating. How do we get to close to $200 billion of potential efficiency savings in the government? What's the source for that? I would be interested. So we're asking collectively as a nation, what is that, Elon? Can you show us that? Now we'll move on to what we can do proactively here at TradeWinds. Again, I've always said it, but it really is the truth. Go to long-term fundamentals, not hype cycles. It really works together with emotional risk education, sticking to a discipline, sticking to long-term fundamentals. And long-term fundamentals doesn't even mean 30 years or 40 years. It means trust that these things actually work over a long cycle, even if you're living in a 5-year cycle or a 10-year cycle, meaning, hey, I'm near the end of retirement, or I just started. I can't weather a storm that comes down. Actually, you can, because if we zoom out, these companies are still going to operate. If you go to the middle part here, there is an opportunity if you can manage your emotional risk. Money's not going to stop. The flow of money is not going to stop. The investments and the success of companies aren't going to stop just because of this. Where is it going? I think, without trying to make a bold statement and say this is where you should go, I would assume that as the United States isolates itself with a lot of these tariffs and geopolitically shutting down a lot of the connections with the unions and drawing their lines and sides with wars, the United States is going to continue to isolate itself. That means money may flow out of the United States. Now, if you had bet against the Americas for the last 15 years, you made a bad bet, maybe even longer than that. But as that pendulum may be swinging towards world globalization, still very real, that money may flow from the United States out to other countries, to other financial institutions that are going to be backing these foreign plays, to other commodities that are going out there. I mean, look at what's happening with Germany. They politically changed back. Look at Canada. They've changed their prime minister. People are maybe looking inside of their own borders. How do we strengthen our countries in comparison and in preparation for what the United States is doing? So there actually may be some alternative growth outside of the United States. But that's it. We wanted to keep it concise. Thank you for joining. Again, the whole point is, who is this person? How is this compared to things of the past? What can I control here? What can we do about it? This is us staying very, very much proactive for you. If you have any questions, if there's something else you want to understand or think about, or another topic that you'd like to discuss or have us react to, please reach out to me or anybody here at TradeWinds. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.